the privilege of meeting you yet. My name is Megan Strange, and I'm the upper school principal. And if you're thinking she's dressed a little slouchy for our meeting, first I'll apologize, but let you know it's my intense school spirit. You see, this week is Winterfest. How many of your kids have been dressing up this week? We have finally hit the jackpot and figured out the best spirit day ever, and it was comfy, cozy clothes on Tuesday. And just so you know, our kids are so innovative, they've just kind of kept cozy clothes on the whole entire week. Like a few made an attempt at like a Superman shirt, but it was with sweatpants and a hoodie and all that sort of thing. So, and I will say, just as we think about, really what is our dress code, what's the whole purpose of it? Well, we like modesty, and I'm going to tell you, the cozy clothes, it covers everything. So I've told the kids, if I were you, I think I'd put together a proposal. And so one of the teachers today, you know, the comfy thing, it's like a blanket with arms. I think they were Snuggies a few years ago, and they've been remarketed. But anyway, so one of our sweet seniors has like a leopard print one. So she said, you know, it's comfy and classy at the same time. So anyways, this is a super fun week at North Cobb Christian, and so I just want you to know that's something that's so important to us as we think about, you know, high school truly should be an exciting time in life. When you think about, I share this at most all the meetings I lead, from the time a child is born until the time they go off to college is approximately 7,000 days, and there are approximately 700 days that are spent in high school. So that's right near that last 10%. And at North Cobb Christian, we happen to think high school should be a lot of fun. You know, there's going to thank you. There's going to be some bumps in the road. Let's be honest. Especially if you've been around very long, you know that one thing about North Cobb Christian that people typically say about our school is it's a family. And I mean, your family may be different than mine, but every once in a while we do hit some snags in the road. Particularly, we spend a lot of time together, and sometimes that happens. But for the most part, we have a great time in the high school at North Cobb Christian, and I just want to let you know that we love your kids. We're excited about what God has in store for them. And for all of y'all that are in the room tonight, God has a very distinct and unique path for your child. And it doesn't look anything like any other child, even if it's the other children who live in your house. So we're going to have a great time tonight. I want to congratulate you. Sticking with our superhero theme, you guys are superheroes. I mean, let's be honest. It's cold. It's raining outside. If you've been around before, you know we're going to email the video of this. But you guys are our live studio audience. So every once in a while, we need to laugh, smile, something that lets them know it's more fun if you come. So, but this is what I want to congratulate you on. You got this email last Thursday, and when you walk out the door tonight, you are halfway done. All right, some of our teachers I went to dinner with reminded me, and we could quote the great Bon Jovi, you're halfway there, living on a prayer. So read, attend, plan, and register. So you are off to a blazing start, and we really appreciate that. So I always like to start with this, and I actually think I have some folks they actually came to the meeting tonight just to make sure they can participate in this. But when you walk in the lobby for this meeting and you start just signing your name on those little sheets, it's fun to watch because everybody's like, what grade am I? What grade? Rising? What does that mean? We're just now getting all of our homework done. But so you walked in. How many of you are here tonight on behalf of a rising ninth grader? Rising ninth grader. Can we get a round of applause for these folks? Can we officially welcome them to upper school? All right. Rising 10th grader. Awesome. Rising 11th grader. Cool. Rising senior. And can we give these folks a round of applause, all right? Yes. So, let's open with a word of prayer. I think God has some special things in store for us tonight, so let's pray together. God, we thank you for this night. I just thank you so much for every parent that is here. I thank you for the ones that couldn't be here tonight. We have such an incredible privilege here at North Cobb Christian to partner with families who truly desire a Christian school experience for their kids that are certainly going to make much of academics, but is also going to look for opportunities to make connections far beyond that. in an effort to truly equip kids to impact the world for Christ. And Lord, I pray that long after all of us are gone from North Cobb Christian one day, as we look back from heaven, Father, I pray that we truly could see a major impact for the sake of eternity that's a result of the seeds that were planted during the time that these students were in our care. Not only for us as a school, but in our own homes as we're raising our children. And Father, I just pray for everybody in the room right now. I know in a room this size that there's a lot of different burdens that people carry, and some of them we're aware of, and some of them we couldn't even imagine what people are walking through. And so, Father, I pray that as a community that we would lift one another up. I see a lot of faces in this room that we've carried each other through different things. And Father, I see a lot of faces in this room that we've celebrated a lot of great things together. So Father, we believe you have something special in store for all of our kids and also for all of us as adults. So God, we're trusting you, we believe you, and we thank you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I just want to share something with you. Some of you guys have been tracking along with us. We started this back on the fall retreat back in August, reading scripture together as an upper school. And we started back in August in Psalm 119, and we've read a number of books of the Bible together. In the month of January, as an upper school, we're reading together the book of Romans. And some of you or some of your kids are tracking along with us. But our reading for this morning was at the beginning of Romans chapter 12. Yesterday, the last part of Romans chapter 11. It's such an encouragement. Romans 11:29. I thought this was great because a lot of us, we come into a meeting like this tonight and we're like, I just don't want to mess this up. I have a jillion questions. I don't want to mess this up. This is great news. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Summary. We can't mess this up. All right, let's stick together. We got this? And then going down to verse 33, it says, Oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and how inscrutable his ways. For who has known the mind of the Lord? Who has been his counselor? Or who has given a gift to him that he might be repaid? For from him and through him and to him are all things. All right, it's a great reminder. These kids that God has trusted us with, all those are his. And then we're reminded, we talked about this with some of our high schoolers this morning. In verse 1 of chapter 12, it says, I appeal to you therefore, brothers, by the mercy of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual act of worship. Do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And that would really be our whole idea of what we want to see happen at North Cobb Christian School. I see Mr. Konchak back there, our middle school principal, and he and I had lunch on Monday with Wendy Titus, our lower school principal. That's our heart, is that our kids truly would engage in this process. And it's a process we engage in as a family. I ran across this quote the other day from Tim Elmore of Growing Leaders. Some of you guys follow him, and it says, love doesn't coddle, it cultivates, which is a very, very active term. Coddling is a little more passive. It says, if we love our students, we will do everything in our power to equip them for the future. And of course, all of us know that our kids are headed for a future that's very different than the future we were looking forward to when we were their age. And that's the part where it gets just a little bit scary because we don't know what that is. However, we do know there are certain things that our kids are going to need in their toolbox for the days and weeks and months and years ahead. So I was reminded of this even just last night. We had the privilege of taking the Academy Singers down to the Atlanta Hawks game. They sang the national anthem last night. It was amazing. In fact, I was telling our high school students this morning, some of us had the privilege of just kind of being out on the court during warm-ups and stuff. I mean, total fangirling. It was amazing. Like, Vince Carter was right there. I'm 41, he's 42. He clearly is more committed to his workout regimen than I am, but I'm glad it's working for him. But we're standing out there, and they are singing the national anthem, and I heard a couple of Hawks players, like as our kids are singing, they're like, dang. I was like, yeah, you can borrow them anytime. They're ours. They belong to us. But last night, my husband and I, we've got a 7-year-old that's in first grade. Pray for Mrs. O. That's his teacher. And then we also have an 11-year-old that's in 5th grade who loves middle school and all that it has to offer. But last night, our kids were super excited about going to the Hawks game, but Emma wasn't excited about being with her parents. You know, we've entered that season of life. Emma's whole focus for the game last night was Brooke Moore. Do any of y'all know Brooke Moore? She's in 9th grade. All right, if you're at the basketball game this afternoon, she scored like 87 of our 64 points. And I mean, she's just phenomenal. But a lot of our kids in high school, they may or may not even know that she plays basketball. I mean, she's just amazing at it, but she's humble. And Emma's whole focus last night was hanging out with Brooke. Mom, can I sit with Brooke? Can I sit with Brooke in the game? Can I sit with Brooke on the bus? You know, I even had to pull Brooke aside and say, you know, if you need her to go away. And Brooke was like, no, I love it. Well, Emma and I were driving through Chick-fil-A the other day. Greg Mata somehow talked her into being the manager for the girls' basketball team, and she's loving every bit of it. We're going to Chick-fil-A the other day, and she goes, Mom, I just wish I was in 6th grade. And I thought, I'm confused by this. I couldn't figure out why. This is the whole reason she wishes she was in 6th grade. It's because Brooke Moore is in 9th grade. And if Emma was in 6th grade, then when Brooke was a senior, Emma would be in 9th grade. And they could play together. But Emma's in 5th grade, so when she's in 9th grade, if all goes well for Brooke, Brooke will have graduated at that point. But that's what we want from our big kids. That's how we want them investing in the little kids. And I certainly benefit from that as a mom. And so I know some of you came tonight and you would say, you know, hey, I need the major takeaways, so if I could just offer you this. This is a kind of a new philosophy. I was thinking of making a t-shirt for the high school. Read the stuff, do the things. All right? And you should give yourself a hand because you did that tonight. You read the stuff and you came to the thing. But our ultimate goal, even further, and some of you guys have been around for a few years, have your kid read the stuff and do the things, right? So when we gather like this, just as a group of parents, we don't have to tell the kids that, you know, we're still trying to kind of figure everything out and stuff like that. But the kids know. So we just want to offer that for you. And I was talking to our teachers in a faculty meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, if you had the opportunity to do what I was doing and stand just in front of our parents, whether it be at this meeting tonight or Saturday at open house or any of those types of opportunities, they'd say, you know, what do you want our parents to know about our upper school? And here were a couple things that stood out. They said, you know, hey, I divided them up into groups, and it was really kind of fun because I had to cut them off. They had so many things that they wanted to make sure you knew. They said, you know, hey, I want to make sure that they know that our students are really drawn to their teachers. They're in a close relationship. It's an appropriate relationship. Actually, a senior girl in my office today, she was in there talking to Chris and I about something for the dance, and she looks at me and she goes, you know, like, we're friends. And then she goes, let me clarify. You're an authority in my life, and I trust you, and we like to laugh together. I was like, oh, good for you. That's great. So, yeah, far more mature. This is the one with the leopard print cozy, comfy thing. But academic options. You'd really be hard-pressed to find a school our size that has as many academic options as we do. One thing that's coming up, just a little save the date, mark your calendar. Thursday, April the 16th at 7 p.m., we're having a STEM night. If you want all the juicy gossip, Mrs. Hollers can help you with that. It's going to be a fun night. You're going to want to be here. Registering for academies. We'll talk about that tonight. Teachers that inspire teachers. We have teachers on our staff at North Cobb Christian School who graduated from our school, and they are teachers today because of the teachers they had at North Cobb Christian. And one of them is actually in the room right in the back, Mr. Ryan Moore, our new business teacher. And so Josh Speck, who taught him, is like a grandfather now to Ryan's students. So opportunities for kids to shine and find their niche. What do they really love? I think one thing they said, you know, hey, allow your kid to be held accountable. That goes back to the good relationship. Great international program. If we talk about the fact that we want our kids to impact the world for Christ, man, we get to walk down the halls with kids from all over the world. Small department sizes. One of our, pretty much the largest academic department in our high school has 6 teachers in it. They know each other. They know your kids as they transition from, you know, this level of science to the next level of science. They know what's coming. Healthy student environment. They want parents to know, hey, it's okay to mess up in high school. That's okay. Let it happen. We've got a great counseling department. That's for college counseling and for guidance counseling. Another thing they wanted to make sure that you guys know is every other Monday, our teachers get together for lunch. If you happen to teach all the 9th graders, then that's your meeting. If you teach a lot of 10th graders, you're in the 10th grade meeting. And that time, there's 2 goals for that. One, they're looking ahead kind of the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, what kinds of tests, quizzes, projects are out there, so we have a balanced load. And then second, and honestly far more important, is how are those kids doing? Who's in need? How can we help? How can we connect? That sort of thing. And this is probably the last one that I'll end on here, would be just that our heart is to help our students towards independence. So I want to take just a second and actually just kind of draw your attention to who your partners are in this as we think about what's coming your way. So our department heads, and I'll ask these folks, some of them are gathered in the back, some of them are still coming in. If you're here, if you'll just kind of wave your hand where you're at. So for our department heads for Bible, we've got Dr. Rachel Hedges. Foreign language, Mr. Evan McDonald. English, Mrs. Andrea Browning. For arts, Mr. Matthew Hendricks up there in the booth. History, Mrs. Beth Clark. Math, technology, and business, Mrs. Cassie Carr. PE and health, Coach Christy Sanders right back there. And then for science, Mrs. Tracy Hollers. For our academies, we have some of our academy directors here tonight. Again, arts, Mr. Hendricks up there. For business, Mr. Ryan Moore. Counseling, ministry, and education, Mr. Ty Falk. For exercise and sports science, Coach Christy Sanders. And then for our STEM Academy, also Mrs. Tracy Hollers. Also want to make sure you know we have class sponsors. All of us have advisory groups in the high school. We have a group of students, 6 to 8 students, same gender, same grade, and we meet around once a month. And I have a group of junior girls. We started together when they were in 9th grade, and Cindy McCain and I meet with these girls, and it's, I'll be honest with you, it's really just now starting to come together. You know how that is, like as a parent, like it finally works out and then they graduate, and you're like, gosh, if that would have worked sooner. Class sponsors though, 9th grade, Mrs. Denyon, 10th grade, Mr. Bittner, 11th grade, Mr. Schaefer, and 12th grade, Mrs. Clark. They're the ones who kind of oversee each of us who have an advisory group in that grade level, just for fun things that we do. And then in our college counseling office, we have Mrs. Bollinger, and we have Mrs. Phillips, who is our registrar, and then we have Mrs. Pendley, who's joined that team this year as our admin assistant. That's quite a powerful trio down there. And then in the upper school office, as I like to call her, Chris West is the holder together of all things. And then our guidance counselor, Mrs. Emily Siller, and our student life director, Mr. Jonathan Ray. So I want to let you know, there are so many days when I come to work and I'm walking out to the car and I think, gosh, what I would not have given to have grown up in a school like this with those kind of adults and the adults on their team investing in my life. So really, really awesome folks, and their whole goal is to partner with you to lead your child to a place where they're feeling confident in being proactive and in making some decisions on their own. And for our 8th grade parents in the room, or for folks who are new to the high school, we have a policy here in our high school that our homework is suggested. All right, how many of you suggest that your child does their homework? All right, we let you handle how you handle that in your house. But the reason we do suggested homework in high school is because we're trying to help our kids learn where they need to invest their time. All right, an example I like to give with that is COBMC sends you a bill with an amount that they suggest you pay should you like to keep your lights on. At that moment, you have a choice, right? You can pay the bill, and that's great. That's how required homework works, and you're good to go, and you're probably thrilled when the grade gets entered. Suggested homework? Maybe you roll the dice, kind of to see how that unfolds. A couple weeks, the lights go off, you have to regroup and approach that decision a little bit better. That really, honestly, is kind of how suggested homework works. The kids have to figure out, where are my gifts? Where do I need to allocate more time? And so that's one of the areas. Another one, where we think about class registration that opens tomorrow morning. Man, I can't encourage you enough. Have your child be the one on fax, actually selecting the classes and clicking save. Because in just a few years, they're going to be doing that in their college on their own. And this is great practice for when they get that first job and they're trying to figure out that benefits information. Ryan Moore covers all of that in personal finance, so they know what to do. If you'll let them select their classes in high school, you might not get quite as many phone calls later. But we want to let our kids advocate for themselves. We're trying to help them toward that end. So I want to take a second. We're going to do a little bit of a quiz here because you had some homework coming into tonight. What was the homework? What was number one? Read. Beautiful. We've got some all-stars in here, so I'm going to give you a real chance to shine. I'd like for you to please get out your phone. It's not a trick. Sometimes we ask the kids and they're like, I don't know, I think you already took them up. And so I'm going to ask you to get out your phone. You're going to go to this website, Kahoot, K-A-H-O-O-T. Got it? Some of y'all have been practicing this at home. You knew that this was just the night for that. All right, and when you get to Kahoot, you will need to enter... Mr. Hendricks, we having a little trouble here?
It's never done this before.
What? Now's a great time to give it a spin, right?
I'm going to do what all good technicians do, unplug it and plug it back in.
Okay, very good. Sure. Yeah, if you actually have the Kahoot app, that is also just fine. Yes. All of the teachers in the back are laughing because this is exactly what happens when I come in to do their observation. Is that what that giggle was about? Right? I just wish I was in the same spot as you guys so we could get some kid to help me out, but I'm just up here flailing. So, anyways, and I'm just assuming Mr. Hendricks restarted, and he tells me he did, but he could really be having a lot of...
It'll take a minute to reboot.
Sounds good. Give it a second. This could be a really good time to take general questions, except for I don't think we've dispersed quite enough information to go there just yet. Look at that. All right, I think we're getting closer, folks. Let's see. By now, you should have both logged in and updated your Instagram. There's been more than enough time to make that happen. Yep, so the number that you need to put in is 836-1799. If this doesn't work, it'll be a total bust, but I'm still giving away these Amazon gift cards. All right? Yeah. I see you up there. All right, give about 10 more seconds to get in there. This is going to be an added level of challenge with it flickering in and out. You're really going to have to be on the ball ready for questions here. It's at 836-1799. We'll give about 10 more seconds. Man, if y'all could only see how much the teachers are loving this. This is so perfect. I'm going to be honest, I think they're doing this. I think they're the ones who broke it. Yeah. I see Miss Epp back there. I think she's overriding my casting. So, anyways, all right, are we ready? Let's get this party started. If you're not in, it's okay. You can just shout out the answers. All right, so here we go. What is the mascot for North Cobb Christian School? On your phone, you will pick the color and shape that corresponds with the answer. I know, I hope you looked really fast. Who's up there? Very, very fast. But you know what? I currently have 47 people who have answered this. Great news. What was the answer? Eagles. Great. We'll see what happens. We'll try the next one. All right. Whoever is capital B and little b, you're in the lead. 950 points. We'll try the next question. Let's see what we got here. How many total credits does a student need to graduate from North Cobb Christian School? Guess an answer. Just guess one. Guess a color, guess a thing. So you got, we'll see. All right, so 35 people now have logged an answer. Yeah. All right. Got it. All right. Good times. Good times. Claudia is putting here. It's great. Claudia reads minds. So, hey, I want to register for honors chemistry. Which course is a prereq for honors chemistry? Hurry while the answers are up. Hurry. All right. The red one is walking. The orange one is coloring. The blue one is geometry. And the green one is horseback riding. All right. Log your answers. Log your answers. We got 55 people in. This is great. The answer is geometry. Wonderful. Claudia is still leading. All right. She's fast. Number 4, which academy includes these courses? Athletic training and introduction to healthcare science. Red is Academy of Multidisciplinary Studies. Orange is Academy of Exercise and Sports Science. Blue is Exercise and Sports Science. And green is Academy of Graduation Requirements.
Answering the right answer.
The answer is it's also orange. All right. Welcome to life. Life is challenging. It's not always fair. All right. Yes. It's not always fair. Yes. Do not have your parents call me. It's simply a game. That's all it is. Okay. All right. Here we go. Number 5. Number 5. Please do. Yes. She does not have email. What is the very best way to get an answer if I have a question about the registration process? Red is just drop by the college counseling office. Orange is ask Mrs. Strange's daughter. Blue is email registration at ncchristian.org. And green is ask that lady that goes to my church. All right, what do we have? What do we have? All right. It was blue. All right. Yes. Chris was in second place. And our winner here. I'm so sad y'all can't see this. Claudia, come on down. You actually just won a gift card, so come on down. Yeah. Well done. Congratulations. And you're not Claudia. Your mother is Claudia. Oh, you're a team.
Yes.
I like it. I can't wait to see who gets to keep the gift cards. So, well, it didn't work out exactly like we were hoping, but you know what? Such is life. Yes, we will be fine. We will carry on. So, no, I did just kind of in a joking way want to make sure that we know, most of those questions that we have, they truly are in that information that was sent out. And then as far as who to contact if you do have questions about things, I do want to let you know that we did set up, this is a great idea Chris West had, just set up that email address, registration@ncchristian.org. And the main reason for that is that email address actually goes to, well, I'm going to do it in the order of the people who are most helpful to you. Chris West and Summer Finley are tied at the top, and then tied for last are me, Mrs. Bollinger, and Mrs. Phillips. So Mrs. Penley and Mrs. West will get back to you about 99% of the things, but we actually wanted to offer you the best customer service, so we'd like to use that email address. Just as a quick overview to make sure everybody's on the same page, we do require 27.5 credits for graduation at North Cobb Christian. Just to kind of put that in perspective, over the course of a school year, each student taking a full slate of classes earns 8 credits. So over the course of 4 years, you can earn 32. Now, a very astute senior would be quick to say, yeah, so that just means load it up with free periods your senior year, right? And some of the other kids early on who are still excited and vigorous about what life has for them, they'll say, this is great, I can get ahead and take some other things, enjoy some other electives. But however you and your child choose to approach that, 27.5 are required out of 32 blocks that are available, just so you have that. How many of you recognize this document? You can't obviously read it, but you recognize that. How many of you would say, hey, that was kind of helpful? How many of you would say, that actually made it worse? Okay, thank you for not being honest on the second question. But this is something actually that our college counseling office does every year. We are constantly auditing students' records and their schedules, and we are keeping an eye on what goes where. So the main reason we wanted to show you this one is because this belongs to a young lady that's going to be a senior. And we thought it'd be kind of helpful for you guys to see one that's a little bit more developed. We asked her permission, and she was thrilled to know she's being featured in this way. I think her mom asked her permission. But anyways, so over here on the left, obviously you can see everything that Kara West took in the 9th grade. All right, Kara's an outstanding student. Everything is green. It's rolling right along. Every once in a while, you might have a child that has something that's red, and that just means they need to re-attempt that question. Some of you ran into that in Kahoot. So if something is red, that means that a student needs to make that class up at another point. But as you track along, you can see the items that are in yellow are what Kara is currently taking in the 11th grade, and then the items that are in blue are the things that she still needs to take to satisfy her graduation requirements. Now there were a few folks, and I think the word's getting around with our junior students, they're saying, hey, what about these electives in blue over here? I'm not really sure what that means because I think I've satisfied the electives over here. Well, one important thing to remember is since these electives are still in yellow, this doesn't really know that you've satisfied your 3.5. They're just over here because senior year you have to have 6 full credits, and you may not need all that much up here in the core classes, so that's just a good option for you. So if you're concerned about, gosh, there's a lot of electives over there, in most cases they're just placeholders for our kids who are heading into senior year. It's sort of a free play, if you will, like on a board game. They're just there, but you may or may not really need them. But just so you know, also, another thing, Kara is in the Arts Academy. She's a visual artist. And so down here, it's also tracking along which of her academy classes that she's taken. She's in art history this year. Next year, she'll take AP Studio Art. So some of you, your kids are in an academy. You'll see that on there. And, you know, I've mentioned the word academies a couple of times. What are academies? Well, our academies in the high school are a great opportunity for our kids to channel particular interests in a certain way. Over the course of high school, out of your 27.5 credits, 3.5 of those credits have to be electives. Well, if you have a child that's got some interest in business, maybe Shark Tank is their favorite show, and they're always just kind of trying to think of something that they could make, something they could sell. Well, they need to talk to Mr. Moore about the Business Academy, because their 3.5 electives would probably be very wisely invested in classes like accounting, finance, marketing, managing and leading in a global economy, an internship. All right? Maybe your kid is always taking things apart and then trying to fix them. I still remember growing up, my brother, who works in military intelligence now, which is sketchy to me, he always had this lamp in his room that flickered very oddly and sometimes would cause other things in our house to flicker. And it was because Kevin liked to take things apart. He was always trying to figure out how they work. If that is your child, I like to figure out how things work, I like to make new things, then you need to talk to Mrs. Hollers about the STEM Academy. And there's a whole variety of math, science, technology, robotics types of courses they can take. You know, maybe your child headed into the new year and saying, you know, hey, I'm really committed to my fitness and I have a plan for that. It's not going to happen accidentally. Coach Sanders in her Exercise and Sports Science Academy might be exactly what they're looking for. Some of y'all, you normally come to this space to see your child up on this stage. That's where their gifts lie. You need to talk to Mr. Hendricks about the Arts Academy. Maybe your child's a good listener. They love serving people. They love helping people. They need to talk to Mr. Falk about the Academy of Counseling, Ministry, and Education. So we have a lot of our kids in our high school that they choose to be in an academy. They apply to be in an academy because they say, I want to be all in for this academy and see it through the entire course of study. We have a lot of other kids in our high school who would say, you know, hey, I think that marketing elective sounds really awesome, but I would like to pair it with the Exercise and Sports Science Academy's Intro to Sport Management class because I love the idea of maybe one day working for the Atlanta Braves, and so I'm going to kind of cherry pick from his academy and her academy, and that's an option too. Just the other day, received an email from one of our boys that's going into 11th grade. He started in one academy, but the further he gets into high school, the more he realizes that the Lord's given him an interest in some other things. And he doesn't want to drop these things, but he wants to pursue this a little more heartily. So there's a lot of those conversations. So we simply just kind of describe the academies as a great way of being exposed to a specific course of study. And it is no promise that when you graduate from the business academy that means you will get into the business school of your choice when you go to work on your MBA. It just simply means I do know I've got some proficiency in this area that matches up with some interest in this area. Really, all along the way, this is kind of how I like to explain it to our kids. You know, in middle school, they're doing all these different assessments and things to try and figure out what are my talents and abilities. In high school, you start to figure out a little bit about what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about. So you take those talents and abilities, you take what I'm passionate about and good at, and where those things collide into each other, we believe that leads us to what God's call is on that person's life. And God's calling on a student's life is never going to be the name of a college or the name of an exact specific career. What it is just like God's Word says, it's a lamp to the path. It just kind of helps see what that next step is. And so it's such an awkward time for my daughter to be calling me. She's wanting to watch Sugar Rush, and Dad's in charge, and he's not sure what we decided about TV, so he thought he'll just have her call. So that's going to be if she keeps calling, just excuse me for a minute, but she's probably going to try and FaceTime next. You know, kids these days, right? So that's really kind of the scoop about academies. Within all that paperwork we sent home last week, there actually, you can read a description of each of the academies, you can read the course of study, but the very best people to talk to about these academies, you want to nudge your kid to talk to the director of that academy. So I had a freshman boy on his own last week. He emailed me to say that he had an academy that he was kind of interested in. He wanted to come talk to me about it. And I replied to him and blind copied his mom because I wanted to brag on the fact that, like, look, he did this. And told him who to go see about that academy. Y'all, his mom was blown away. She said, we just briefly talked about it. I didn't even tell him he had to email. So if you're in here and you're wondering, it does come together eventually. All right, so that's what the academies are. Great opportunity. Honors, advanced placement, and dual enrollment classes. Every year, there's a lot of questions about this. The very best person for your child to be talking to about whether or not they should be going into honors, advanced placement, or dual enrollment classes is their current teacher in that subject area. And the same is true for those of you guys whose kids are in 8th grade right now. If you have a rising 9th grader who's trying to decide if honors biology is for them, Mrs. Flournoy is awesome. She taught high school biology forever. She is the best one to help them with that. Mrs. Brock is the best one to help them know if it's college prep intro to lit or honors intro to lit. So that's really kind of where that comes in. That goes back to my earlier point also about the small size of our departments. So I've got, we have a couple of our science teachers that are in here tonight in a couple different roles. Well, it's no real random thing for them about who should be in honors or AP or dual enrollment, this or that. They're already seeing that. And our teachers know now's the time of year that if you haven't already said something to that student, now's the time to nudge them. I see something in you. I'd really love to see you step up a little bit here. And so I also want to let you know we're not going into this hoping to let kids crash and burn. We want them to be successful. So we allow our kids, and there was a link to this video in there, we allow our kids to self-select honors, AP, and dual enrollment courses. Now, AP classes, if you're new to AP, that is taught on a college level. There's typically a lot of reading and writing that would go with an AP class. And at the end of the course, there's an advanced placement exam that is put together by the College Board that all of our AP students take. And once that exam is scored, they're given that score. And then it's up to whatever college or university they go to as to whether or not that'll be accepted for college credit. And then for dual enrollment courses, we have a unique partnership with Shorter University and Truett McConnell University that we actually are able to offer college classes on our campus taught by our teachers. We currently offer English, math, and Spanish in a partnership with Shorter University, and brand new to us this year are biology and government through a partnership with Truett McConnell. Now again, we cannot completely guarantee that the college or university that your child ultimately might choose to go to will accept those credits. It's not necessarily math credit here counted as math credit there, but at the very least, it can be, in most cases, counted even just as an elective credit. And a lot of our courses do transfer, and you could talk a lot more in depth with Mrs. Bollinger, our college counselor. There's a little transfer tool. If your child is looking at going to almost at Auburn, but I can't go there. If your child's thinking about going to Alabama, and you're curious if our college English class is going to be accepted there, you can actually go on their website. There's a transfer tool. You can type in Shorter University and the course number, and they'll let you know if it'll count or if it won't count. So that part's out of our control. But honors and AP courses are they're very wide open for registration, just simply because we want our kids to want that for themselves. And so let's see here. Yeah, if a kid were to take advantage of all of the dual credit courses that we offer, they could earn up to 25 hours of college credit just on our campus. And the beautiful thing is they don't have to leave our campus and go somewhere else. Now, we can't offer everything. Some of our kids that are taking Calc 2 and other things that make no sense to me, they drive down to KSU for that. We even have a very remarkable young lady that takes, I think she's taking multivariable calculus through Georgia Tech right now. Again, I can help her open the door to get into the classroom, but then past that, she's rolling. So, but keep in mind, we've got a lot of kids. I was talking to one of our seniors the other day that, seriously, Emma is FaceTiming me right. So, I'm gonna let it roll. That could really be a lot of fun. But you can look at the cost of tuition at a college or university, kind of the cost of enrollment that your child might be looking at. And we have kids. This is not the goal, all right? Because when you go to college, you want to have a certain number of football seasons that you're enrolled. But we have kids who, you know, when they enroll or by Christmas, they're sophomores already because they've picked up a lot of stuff. Now, I will tell you, our counsel to them is stay there and let Hope Scholarship pay for your master's degree. Well, Emma might be trying to call y'all now, but do not answer. She knows that I'm here, all right? But we do want to make sure you know we've done our best to kind of make this resource available for you. It's cleverly called our Honors and AP resource document. This is for AP English Language and Composition, which is typically taken in the 11th grade year. And this is simply an overview of the course, recommended prerequisites, some skills that a student would need to be successful, as well as, hey, how much time are you spending outside of class working on this? And then some of the classes, we even have some comments from students that have taken that course in the past, so they could get an idea. Well, if your child is currently taking World Lit as a 10th grader and Mrs. Browning is their teacher, the great news is Mrs. Browning is also the AP Lang teacher. So that's what you get in a small school. Great person to talk to, and then across the board you have some different options there. But please know that's a great resource. A lot of our kids are really getting a lot out of that. Just kind of in general, as you look at our course catalog for this year, particularly for those of y'all that are now a couple years maybe into high school, what are new things? Well, what is the most exciting new thing? It's that building that's coming up out of the ground over there, right? If it ever stops raining. Yes, so we are so excited about the upper school building, and so many of you guys have been a part of that and will be a part of that, and the Lord has just truly blessed us to see the way just the campus is continuing to grow. Well, a lot of our kids are just now cluing into the fact we're moving into that building next year, right? So if your child's going to be a senior next year, I know some of the seniors had gotten in their mind, it's like, oh, it's for the other kids. No, I mean, like our target occupancy is September, right? If it stops raining. But so some of you guys have built a house before and you know, hey, things happen. But this is very, very, very exciting stuff. So I want to let you know that as we think towards that new space, and in our middle school and lower school meetings that are coming up, they're going to get to share some exciting things about how they're going to repurpose the space that high school currently occupies into some really awesome opportunities for our middle school and lower school, and even more expanded enrichment things for high schoolers. But if you look just straight up at the course catalog, some of the new things that will stand out to you are Robotics 3 and 4. Some of your kids are taking Robotics 1 and 2 right now. It's just a further iteration of those classes, allowing for some leadership opportunities and things like that. And then our STEM classes are now to their full maturation, with STEM in 10th grade being the making class, 11th grade is internship, and 12th grade is capstone. Again, I'll mention the STEM night on Thursday, April the 16th at 7 p.m. because you guys are going to get to hear some reports on the capstone projects from these seniors that are in the STEM Academy. You're also going to get to see some kids on the other side of the STEM Academy who are just kind of starting to get rolling. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I heard there was a giant crime that was committed, and I'm one of the suspects, and so is Mr. Konchak. I mean, you tell me, who do you think did it, all right? So, anyways, but so those are some new classes. Other than these classes, quite honestly, we're letting the garden grow a little bit. You know, there have been years where we've just launched a whole bunch of new things. We want to let you know we feel really strongly about the program. As Ms. Bollinger goes and meets with college counselors and high school counselors from all over, she's continuing to hear that we're offering the right combination of things for our students. And so we really want to be faithful stewards of that. College readiness testing. I know this is something that we feel a lot of pressure about with the SAT and the ACT. Just for your awareness, in October every year, our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students take the PSAT. And then in April, our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students, our 9th and 10th graders take the Aspire, which is a pre-ACT, and our 11th graders actually take the ACT on our campus in the regular school day. Why do we do that? Well, this is not a test that gives a verdict on your kid and their capability in life. It's also not a test that gives a verdict on what kind of parent you are and the choices that you have made along the way. It's just simply a college readiness test. So we like to help our kids feel more comfortable with that assessment. We're doing a lot academically to prepare them for that, but we're not spending all of our time on that. That's not our ultimate goal. But I will tell you that traditionally our students do very well on the ACT and the SAT. I had a parent the other day that was asking me, you know, how do you approach that? Take what we offer as a school, and then when you get the feedback about that testing, some of you guys can remember you've already gotten the PSAT stuff back from the fall, that is going to help shed a light on what do we need to lean into. Typically, students will be stronger in either one or the other, and that's where you might want to focus test prep efforts and things like that. And obviously, a lot of that naturally occurs in our curriculum. Summer classes. I mean, I don't know what would excite a high school student more than to have the think about those last few days in May. You know, they seem kind of tired, and you think it's because of exam. They're just sullen. I mean, the idea of having to be away from school, but have we got a deal for you? Actually, our summer classes have been very popular with our students, and here's the main reason why. The PE and health, some of our students like to take that prior to 9th grade or prior to 10th grade, simply because they might want to have a study hall in their schedule. Or they've started lining up the classes they want to take, and they'd love to take photography, but they can't otherwise fit it in. So they do something like this over the summer. It creates an extra block in their schedule. I have a lot of kids who took PE and health over the summer because maybe they play football and they say, you know, hey, I'm heading into high school. I know things are going to be a little bit busier. I want to get off on a good start. So I want to have a study hall in the fall. Maybe in the spring I'll pick up an elective, but a lot of great options. Coach Sanders, who leads our PE department, developed both the PE and health classes. There's information in that email we sent you about that. And then the C3 technology class would satisfy the half credit of technology that's required for graduation. And I have a lot of kids who have really been interested in that. Each of those classes does have limited enrollment. So if that's something that your child is interested in, please know that's on a first come, first served basis once registration opens in the morning. Other options. I know there's some folks that said, you know, please don't even put that up there. I know. I don't know what your other option might be. We're always looking at how can we meet the needs of our students. So if you have a special circumstance or something you would like for us to consider, let me encourage you. registration at ncchristian.org, and I'll hope one of the other ladies answers. But no, there's some really great options out there. So we have kids, honestly, it's for kids at both ends of the spectrum. It's for kids who would say, gosh, I really need to lighten my load as much as I can, so is there something I could do over the summer? Or so incredibly bright and they're trying to get ahead in so many different arenas. So anywhere that you might fall, summer classes could be a real possibility there. But at the same time, summer is for fun and being a kid. So we like to toss it in there too. Or summer camps. If you don't do the summer classes, you can do the summer camps. I just want to get these on your radar. This is really primarily for parents of rising freshmen. The Upper School Edge Camp, Mrs. Swank, our 9th grade English teacher, is going to be leading the Upper School Edge Camp. Honestly, that is sort of a camp of how do I do high school things? How do I get myself organized? How do I get used to Google Classroom? Because she's the English teacher, she also does a lot with writing during that time. So those dates are out there. And then the college boot camp, that's for our rising seniors. Mrs. Bollinger leads that. And I got to tell you, I'm thinking of some of our kids that, you know, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. Every year, the common strand from the college boot camp is, wow, I feel so much more relaxed about my senior year because I've done the heavy lifting in this camp. Miss Bollinger, Miss Pendley, some of the other folks that help with that, they help the students with their resume. They do the Common App. They work on their college essays, all that sort of thing. So it really helps relieve a lot of pressure. Quite honestly, if your child's going into their senior year, it's a gift to you to send them. So those dates and times, and you look at that, that's 4 different weeks, and you have either morning or afternoon options. So just be on the lookout for that. I saw something the other day that said all of our summer camps will be open for registration January 31st. So scheduling, kind of where do we go from here? Well, we had our 8th grade Shadow Day back in October, which seems like a million years ago, but we had all of our 8th graders come and visit some of our high school classes. We had a chance to meet up with them at lunch and kind of hear about their morning. And in the afternoon, we did some fun games and things like that. So that really was the official kickoff of this process. Re-enrollment opened last Monday on January the 13th, and I know that many of you have already re-enrolled. And please know, we don't take that for granted. You are trusting us with your most precious treasure. And we get that as parents, you're going to stand before the Lord one day and give an account of the decisions that you made for your child. And I want to let you know, as I help lead the upper school efforts at North Cobb Christian, I fully believe that when I stand before the Lord, I too am going to give an account of the decisions that were made on behalf of your child. That's how seriously we recognize this partnership that we have. So we sent home the 4-point email last Thursday. You're at the parent meeting tonight. Thank you again so much. Tomorrow morning, registration will officially open on fax. So your child will be able to log in, probably with you kind of right there by them, and be able to select their classes. Also want to let you know, on Monday, the 5 of us who all get those registration emails, we are actually going to visit all of the 8th grade Bible classes. Well, why are you doing that after registration is already opened? Well, the good news is, hopefully, either you already have, or this weekend, we'll sit down as a family and go ahead and kind of make those selections in RenWeb. When we go to their Bible classes on Monday, we're merely going just to ask a couple of questions, all right? So we got Ben and Sutton right here on the front row, super sharp dudes. They're already all over this. But they may get into it and have been having conversations with friends and need some point of clarification. We're just going to be in there for about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll pull up RenWeb, we'll look at it, and they'll have a chance. Are we going to totally trash the schedule you made at home and make new ones? No. We will definitely not do that. We're just there to help. We're there just to kind of support. Also next week, before school, at lunchtime, and after school, we offer a registration concierge service. Just there to ask any questions. I will tell you, if you'd like to take advantage of that service, in order to make it most effective, we would just ask that your child be with you. That just helps a lot. And you know what? And you can use us if there's a decision that needs to be made. All right, if you need somebody to be the bad guy, we can help you out with that. So Those will be $12 each for the visit. So it's $12 a minute, actually. We've got to furnish that new building, so we're thinking of all kind of ideas. So before school and after school, you would just come up to the high school office, and if it's during lunch, we'll be in the gym. So that's where we eat lunch in there. So that'll be next week. So that's just kind of how all this unfolds. But again, those details are in the email. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have officially finished number 2. And so I would like to ask you, could I ask all those department heads, academy directors that have invested their evening in being here tonight, if you don't mind, can I ask you all to actually come up here and kind of just stand along the front? Because when we dismiss, those folks are going to be available if you have questions about any particular classes or about any of our academies. But I'd like to just stop and ask if anybody has any questions just for the good of the group about the process or anything that has come up tonight that we could help you with. Chances are good if you have that question, someone else does too. Yes?
Before your child does the selection for their classes and facts, do you have to already be pre-registered for next year's class?
It's a great question, yes. You do need to be enrolled for next year in order to be able to do the class registration. Thanks, Kimberly, that was a great point. So some of you that have been here before are wondering, why didn't we show a schedule of when seniors register, when juniors register, when sophomores? Now, I do love the competitive spirit that gets into our group, but to be honest with you, the way we audit our transcripts, we are obviously making sure that all of our seniors have the courses they need to graduate. So the way we build our schedules, we really don't need you any longer to enter things that way. We evaluate everything on a whole, and so they can't all register at the same time. Kimberly, do you have another great one?
For the AP classes, for that final test, is there a cost for the final AP test? And is that on campus or is that off campus with another group of people?
Yeah, it's a great question. The testing actually takes place on our campus, and it's proctored. They actually usually use the classrooms up by my office. Karen, what's the current rate for AP tests?
97.
Okay, I knew knew it was right at 100. So yeah, that's the course for that. And just so y'all know, if you take an AP class, whether or not the kid feels like they've been successful in the class, we do require everyone to sit for the AP exam. That's just, we're building a life skill in there to walk through and do that. So, yeah. Anybody else? Ms. West, I see your hand.
One thing I don't think we mentioned is that registration opens at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
8 a.m.
I didn't know that.
Look at that. That's fantastic news. That's great. So you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn in order to make this work. Now your kid should be at school at 8 o'clock. But at 8 o'clock, if they're at school, they should be in the MDJ Best of Cobb voting. They can register after that, but tomorrow is the last day for the Best of Cobb voting. We're in 3 categories: performing arts, preschool, and private school. So please log your vote if you have not. Allison.
Government.
Yes.
Back when, I guess it was last year that it changed from AP Gov
Yes.
for freshman year to now dual enrollment.
Yes.
Senior year.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a rising freshman who thinks they might take the dual enrollment senior year, you wouldn't need to take.
It's a great question, yeah. And so between Avery, who's going into 11th grade, and Ryan's going into 9th grade, that is one thing that's changed. So they don't have to take both. They can take both. They do not have to take both. So if they do decide they want to put off government in favor of later taking dual enrollment government, that's okay. They can do that.
Economics has moved as well.
Economics is a senior class now.
Is there
Yep.
a reason for?
Yeah, there's really a lot of great reasons. Probably the summary is that kids are a lot closer to economic and financial decisions for their own life and bring a lot more maturity to it. So Mrs. Heights, who teaches our government and economics classes, for years we've really, and we try and do this on a regular basis, are we offering our courses at the right spot? Well, government, man, 9th grade is a great spot for that, for this reason, because it sets such a great foundation for World or AP US History in the 10th grade, and then US or AP US History in the 11th grade. So there's a lot about government structures that continues to flow past that. Economics, we realize what we're doing in our personal finance class with our seniors, there's a lot of parallels with econ. Still separate classes, But we have only been doing that this year, and Mrs. Heights has already said it makes a giant difference. Econ is going much better in 12th grade. Not to say that our 9th graders, it wasn't beneficial, because it was, but we're teaching it now as a different course because we're teaching it to seniors. So, great question. Yes. Yes.
Quick, so technology is a half credit.
Correct.
If they take a year-long class for that, can the other half go towards an elective?
Yes.
Okay.
And going back to even our government conversation, most of our 9th graders will go ahead and take that one semester of government. The opposite semester from government is a great spot to wedge technology in. That's a great way to kind of pair that so you don't end up with an odd gap somewhere. So a lot of our folks are doing that. Or they can pair it with a study hall or another elective they're interested in. Tammy?
Do we need to be really worried if registration opens at 8 tomorrow about getting them, I mean, are they going to have a set time when they can get online and register?
They can do it later in the day. You can do it over the weekend.
Are there classes that will fill up?
I don't think I would say there are particular classes that will fill up. We won't close anything tomorrow or anything like that. But I can say really what's going to inform us as registration opens up is really that's where we're making decisions about how many sections of things that we need to have. So yeah, that's a great thing. Should you have your kids skip school tomorrow and stay home and register? The answer would be no. But you can write him a doctor's note. I mean, I don't know what I can do about that. So yes.
So to tag off of hers, does that mean that class capacities are not predetermined already? There is some flexibility?
There is some flexibility. There's a good bit of flexibility. And quite honestly, in 9th grade, the flexibility is way up here. In 10th grade, it's a little bit smaller. And it's just because the older they get, there's so much differentiation in their paths. And so the good news is we've been doing this a long time. We kind of see how some of that's tracking. So we keep a close eye on that. Jennifer Phillips, our registrar, is just spectacular at that. But this really helps us predict numbers of sections and things like that. So while we have an idea of how many we think we'll offer next year, it's not set in stone yet. So great question. Yes?
Can you partially register, save it, come back, change it, or do you have to have it all set when you go into the first?
So if I'm correct, you can go in, fill in what you're ready to fill in, click save, and then come back to it another time.
You can change as many times until March 26th.
March 26th. So between now and March 26th, you can change as many times as you would like to.
But you have to click save
Yes.
every time.
Yes, click save every time. Hey, you know what? We grew up in the floppy disk generation, so we're just gonna track it back to that, and then you gotta hit save. Great question. Yeah, because there's some things you already know. So when you go in, if you're registering for 10th grade, it'll say this in there, but you're so focused on getting this right that you're probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, where are the Bible classes? We take care of the Bible class. Everybody has to take a Bible class. If your child's registering for 12th grade, you don't select personal finance. We know they need to take personal finance. That'll all be in the notes, but yeah. You may be deciding about some things and then your child might be asking about some other things. So yeah, feel free to put in what you know. Just click save every time you do it. All right, any other for the good of the group?
For dual enrollment math, do
Yeah.
they have to take math both semesters or for one?
Sure, it's a great question. So most of the seniors that would be heading into dual enrollment math are at the point where they just need one more math credit for graduation. So we offer college algebra and college pre-calculus. Due to our relationship with Shorter University, no matter how great of a math student they are, they must have the college algebra first before they can take the college pre-calc. And then one thing Ms. Bollinger will be talking with them a lot about is as they narrow down if they're looking at a particular college or university, that's when they'll begin to know if they need the pre-calc or don't need the pre-calc. But because the college algebra is a college class and it is a one full credit class that takes place in a semester, you can take the first one without taking the second one. Yeah, great question. Yes. Can't believe Ben's going to be a senior. Very exciting. Yes. All right. Yes.
Is there an application for the dual enrollment?
There's not an application for, except for I'll say this. So, well, sort of. There's an application for Shorter University and for Truett McConnell University. But what'll happen when your child goes into FACS and they select that class, that populates. Mrs. Bollinger has a meeting that's coming up. Is it the beginning of March? Yeah, the beginning of March on a Take One Wednesday. If you are a student who has signed up for a dual enrollment class, you'll be required to come to that meeting, and that's where they'll fill out the actual paperwork. Yes, so that's where that'll take place.
And KSU's application?
It's totally different. You have
Totally
to go to their website and follow their requirements, because they require test scores.
Right.
Our partnership with Shorter and Truett, they don't require test scores. They just need a 3.0 core GPA on your transcript. Yeah.
I think I saw another hand. That was a great question on dual enrollment. Awesome. Yes.
This is a question for Coach Falk. If you go into the STEM Academy of Ministry, does that child get a spot on that very high competitive team, mountain biking team at the school with a free bike?
I think those are the kids that ride the unicycles, right?
Just say yeah.
Everyone is welcome. Yes.
Plug.
Yes.
Abby had AP Government her freshman year. So
Right.
should she not bother to do the dual enrollment if she has the available space?
So this is, and we have a senior right now that's taking the dual enrollment government that took AP Gov his freshman year, and he got a very good grade in the class, but he did not do well on the AP exam. He didn't do well enough to get the college credit he was hoping to get. So he's actually taking the dual enrollment government this year in hopes of actually definitely getting the college credit. So you don't have to, you can still take it. Yeah, great question. I'm sure Abby did great though. I actually was in her Bible class today with Mr. Falk. It was wonderful. Jill, did you have a question too, or you helping me wave down Stephanie there? Thanks. Yes.
So for that dual enrollment government class, does it count as an elective if they've already taken their regular?
Yes.
Yes, for us it does.
Okay.
Yes, great question. Yeah. So this is what we'll do as we get ready to dismiss. These folks are going to be hanging around. Chris West, Karen Bollinger, Jennifer Phillips, Summer Penley, they're all in the back there. So if you've got questions, please know we are here to help you find the answers that you need. But again, I just can't say this enough. Thank you for sharing your kids with us. I just want you to know we love hanging out with your kids, and we see them in the hallways, we see them in the classrooms, and it just brings us so much joy when those things start clicking and they start recognizing God has called me to use this life, to spend it for the sake of the gospel, to be a blessing to other people. And so we just want to say thanks so much for sharing your kids with us. They're awesome and we love them. And we promise that while they're in our care, we're going to do our very best to take great care of them. So thanks so much for coming out tonight. Have a great evening. And if you have questions, we'll be up here. Thank you.